Hi, I'm Donna Curley with Twisted Sisters Wreaths and More, and today we're going to make our very first YouTube video. Yay team! What we're going to show you today is how to do a deco mesh wreath using the POUF method. This actually is going to be our finished product here. We've used an iridescent green mesh. This is a 21-inch mesh, so you'll just buy one roll of the 21-inch mesh. On the back here you can see the wreath form, and this basically has the 18 ties that are already attached. This is a 18-inch wreath form, so if you've got those supplies together, you can do this. And this is the beautiful finished product. Now once you do the make the deco mesh wreath in this manner, then you can attach anything you want to, florals, embellishments, ribbons, to make the wreath exactly the way you want it. Alright, if you'll just give us a minute, we will get started with the POUF method. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jackie Chambers. I'm another partner with Twisted Sisters Wreaths and More, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do the POUF method. Now, the first thing that you are going to want to do is you have to have your work frame, and we've chosen this frame. What you want to do is to go through the frame and make sure there are no rough edges, because you don't want the rough edges to puncture your customers' fingers or to scratch their doors. So most cases you're going to have this part, and what you want to do is just twist it around and make sure there's no rough edges to hurt anyone, because you can stick your fingers with it. And then on the upper level you want to turn them in just so they're not in your way. I always start on the bottom. On this particular wreath there are 10 tinsel ties on the bottom, and there are 8 tinsel ties on the top. So we're getting ready to start, and all you do is you just separate them, because it's going to be more helpful to you to do this. Now you take your mesh, and then you just take it and drop it on the floor. Pull it up, and then you just want to accordion it up and get it in a bundle. And I like to keep my edges on the outside. It just makes it easier when you're doing your POUFs. And then you want to choose one of your tinsel ties that is close to a bar. Okay, so then you take your mesh, put it in, and you are going to want to take a zip tie, and you're going to want to attach it to the mesh and the bar. And sometimes you need 3 hands, but we don't have 3 hands. Then you pull it as tight as you can. And if need be, you'll cut off the edge, but I don't have much of an edge, so I'm keeping it. You will need clippers to cut off the excess twist tie, and that's a piece of trash. So now you take your foil, and I like to grab my ends. We normally make all of our POUFs 10 inches. Some people choose 8, some people choose 12. It is more difficult to work with your wreath if you go over 12. A 15-inch POUF is going to make your wreath out of proportion, and it's going to create a lot of holes in your wreath. So we like to do it 10 inches. We also use the entire roll, and I'll show you how we do that at the end. But you can grab your mesh and measure out 10 inches. Okay, you want to put it in your tinsel tie. You want to give it a twist it's really a twist and a half to secure everything, and then you want to do your poof. And that is how a poof looks. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate a couple more. It's just as easy as pie. You take it, you measure down 10 inches. Take your tinsel tie, stick it in, secure it with your 1.5 turn, and do your poof. And you poof as you go. Because if you, for some reason, got your measurements wrong, you can tell that that poof doesn't look like the other poofs, and at that point you can redo it. And it's easier to do it as you go along rather than to be way over here and you see a poof that's way out of proportion on this side. I'm going to do one more. Your 1.5 twist and do your poof. And so as not to bore you, I'm going to finish doing the poofs all the way around, and when I get ready to come to the upper rack, I'll be back. Just give me a minute. Hi, I'm back, and as you can see, I've gone all the way around the wreath. But before I continue with that part, let me explain something. I'm using my mat, my cutter's mat that I always use for everything. I realize that some of you do not have a mat, so just take a ruler and tape it to your table, and that way you can measure your 10 inches. I also want to explain that to do the poof method, you need 2 twist ties, you need a pair of scissors to cut off your excess, and you need some clippers to cut off your excess on your twist tie. So now I'm going to connect my last poof, and I'm connecting it to the first poof that I did. So you're going to want to undo your twist tie. And if you always go in one direction, then you'll always know which direction to undo. I do mine, when I do my twists, I do them counterclockwise. So now I know to go clockwise to undo it. And you see this poof is undone. So you want to get your 10 inches and put it right in with your first twist tie that you started with. And do your 1.5 turn. Okay, now in order to get to your upper tier, you do not have to cut your mesh. You just take your mesh and you go to the nearest twist tie and you pull it tight and put it in as tight as you can and twist it with your 1.5 turn, and now you're ready to go forward to complete the ring. So again, you're still doing your 10-inch poofs. And you go in your next twist tie. One and a half turn. And you know what, folks? I forgot to poof my last one. So let me get down here and poof it. You know, there are times that you just forget what you're doing. And since I'm getting older, it happens more frequently than it used to. But I did forget to poof this one down here. And there we are. This is some beautiful mesh I'm working with. And so you go another 10 inches and go to the next POUF. And now, rather than you watch me do the rest of these POUFs, I'm going to stop the video for a minute and finish the ring, and then I'll come back and show you how we completely finish the whole roll. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back, and I'm getting ready to fill in the last part of this wreath. So remember that we made the bridge to go up to the top tier. I need to undo that and make a 10-inch measurement and put this right in there. And do your tie. Fluff your POUF out. Wreath making is all about fluff, fluff, fluff. Now, what we like to do is we like to go back and fill in holes. Can you see a hole right here? And they'll be throughout the wreath. We also like to use a whole roll of mesh because right now we have this much mesh left. And that's not really enough mesh to do anything with, and you will wind up with roll after roll of unusable mesh unless you combine them together to form a wreath. So rather than do that, we fill in our holes, and we use a zigzag method. So I'm at the top here, so what I want to do, I want to do a zigzag from top to bottom. And you take your measurement most of the time. Sometimes you're only going to want to do like 8 inches, but between 8 and 10 inches is going to be fine. But you always undo the twist tie that you're going in because you want everything to be as close to the frame as possible. If you don't, if you stack everything on top of each other, then your twist tie is going to be this far from your wreath, and your wreath is going to be loose. And you want to keep everything tight. So I have my first zigzag in. I'm going to tighten that up. And I'm going to spread it out. And it covers that hole perfectly. Now you want to go from this to this point because there's a hole here that needs to be covered. So you just take your mesh again, measure out. That's a pretty good space, so I'm going to measure out 10 more inches, and I'm going to cross over this hole, go into the loop, again, go into the twist tie up top to do your zigzag, undo your twist tie, and put your mesh, lay your mesh in there, tighten it up, and do your POUF, and it has completely covered that hole. There is no hole there anymore, as you can see. Okay, now I'm going to go and use the rest of the mesh, and when I finish I'll come back. Thank you so much. I'm back. Okay, I have been crisscrossing or zigzagging from top to bottom to cover up the holes. I have one more hole, and it is right here, and I'm getting ready to take care of it. So I'm opening up my mesh, I'm opening up my tinsel ties, and I'm sticking it in with my 1.5 turn. You come back and POUF it. And voila, the hole is gone, and the wreath is finished. And we have this much mesh left over. I don't mind wasting this much mesh. But you want to take, because you're going to have to cut this off and tie it off. You take about 6 inches and you cut it off. This is trash. You take the end and you just want to tuck it in. You grab it from the bottom, turn your wreath over, take your twist tie, grab a piece of the wreath form and you mesh together, and then you tie it off. Get it as tight as you can. And take your snippers, cut it off, throw that away. And your wreath, this part of your wreath is done. The next part is ribbons, embellishments, bows, whatever. And we will show you that in another segment. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.